I'm Michael Burke, and this is Money Talks. Hi, welcome to Money Talks. I'm Michael Burke. Behind the camera today is our producer Greg Shaver, and we're with Gary Krause, the really the everything of the business called EKG Concepts. We're in your Caledonia kitchen where your business is based. And at the outset, I wanted to give people an idea why I chose to write a recent story about this and why we invited you onto Money Talks. This is a company, 4 years old roughly?
5 years old.
5 years old, okay. Already you have 11 products, all based in the medical industry. Mm-hmm. 6 of them patented, 5 patents pending. You've won 3 national awards for your products already from medical organizations and associations. And this past fall you won a National Entrepreneurship Award. So this is a business that is really going places. And we're kind of happy to catch you on your ramping up part of your business. But at this point, I want you to tell about the thing that almost killed you. It's so interesting to me that your business is about helping catch people who are suffering heart attacks, might be suffering heart attacks, and actually saving lives, when in fact you really ought to be dead. Correct?
Yes.
That is not an exaggeration at all. This thing... You tell me it weighs 5 pounds. I would swear it weighs 8 pounds. But tell what you were doing. What year was that when this thing fell and should have killed you?
1986.
Okay. And where were you working and what happened?
I was working in a deep tunnel in Milwaukee, the big sewer project.
Yeah.
And we were down a shaft and it was 400 feet deep. And I was a blasting foreman, so we'd have to call down for these plumbods, maybe 4 of them, and measure off centers. Well, this one was hanging about 125 or 100 feet up, and it broke loose from a cable here, so this came down, fell 100 feet, and hit me on top of the head. Now, here's just about an inch, so you can see the power that had.
Yeah.
What happened is, it broke my hard head, I had a depressed skull fracture, and then they did a craniotomy. That's the exact part that hit me.
Yeah, the small part, which actually concentrates the force even more than if it were sideways or something like that.
That indentation is the same indentation as my skull.
I know, you've made me feel your skull before, and there's a big old piece missing from it. So you woke up the next day, and what had they done? They had taken out a piece of your skull?
They had taken out the part of the skull, and instead of putting a metal plate in there, it was such a clean break that the surgeon said, let's put it back in, staple it in, see how it grows together. Mm-hmm. That's something they were doing new in 86. Yeah. And so they did, and they said I wouldn't have hair, but everything grew back.
Yeah. Now, you told me the doctor said you should have really been killed by this thing.
Correct.
And needless to say, you changed professions after that, and you actually then went into nursing at Gateway Technical College in Racine. And I know you've spent more than 2 decades in the field, primarily in cardiac and emergency medicine. And actually, in fact, you're an instructor at Gateway now in the cardio area.
Yeah, for the paramedics, and I'm also an instructor at All Saints Healthcare.
Okay. So what was it that you, clearly you have entrepreneurial blood, but what was it that you started to see in the cardiac area that told you things could be done better?
Well, with EKGs, people are using...
You know what? I'm sorry. I should have said, just for those who are not in the medical field, what's an EKG? It's an electrocardiogram, but basically what is it?
Okay.
Really
it's electrical conduction of your heart. It's an electrical waveform.
Okay.
And it can...
It's a graph of
what's going on of your heart, like what's going on
here.
Yeah. And if it's normal, it's okay. If you have any abnormalities, they'll show up there.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, this chart shows an incredible number of graphs. So what these are all EKGs?
Correct. These are approximately 41 EKGs that medical personnel have to know.
Okay. And
they'll get trained on them, but the problem is you'll take a test on it and you may not see them for weeks, months, or years.
Yeah.
And so my products are, that you can have these type of posters so you can peel up, pocket versions.
So you observed that there was a need, first of all, for something. I mean, people must have had something before that they were looking at, but your somethings are better. So,
correct.
What was wrong with the old ones in a simple way of telling?
If you didn't see a rhythm, you weren't sure, you'd have to look up in a book.
Okay.
Or go to a computer and try to find it.
Mm-hmm.
So what I developed is the RCAT, which stands for Rapid Cardiac Analysis Tool. And my first product was a laminated 8.5 by 11 that illustrates all 41 different EKG rhythms right at your hand.
Is it just a matter of having the source material? Because I thought that you also said there's also a matter of measurement involved, and if
Correct.
you mismeasure something, then you have issues.
Correct. When a person has a heart attack, their EKG will have a change on it, and it can be 1 millimeter off. And if you don't measure that right, it can be missed. Mm-hmm. And according to American Heart, 1 in 8 patients that present to the emergency room alone with signs and symptoms of a heart attack on a 12-lead EKG are misdiagnosed. Mm-hmm. So there's a huge dire need for medical personnel to accurately and rapidly identify EKG rhythm strips and 12-lead EKGs associated with a heart attack.
And what was the first? Do you have your first product out here?
My first one of the first products was the RCAT for arrhythmias, and it opens up and it displays all 41 of those EKG rhythm strips with the main criteria underneath. Just what's on here, but it easily fits in your pocket.
Right, right.
And then I made the other one.
And how is? Let's stay with this for a second. So when you came out with this, who did you show it to, and what reactions were you getting?
I was showing it to the physicians. I would show it to. I would go to trade shows, show paramedics, nurses, and they absolutely loved it because it's a wonderful resource. You know, you have it right there. If I'm not sure, I can look up this rhythm real quick, and everything's right there. Mm-hmm. And then plus, I put measuring tools. When you talked about how important it is to measure, I have calibrated boxes right here instead of using calipers, which are pretty much primitive, and I can just measure this. You know what the intervals are. Mm-hmm. Everything's calibrated right here.
Okay, so kind of an all-in-one tool. And you told me that you would go to these medical trade shows and you would intentionally set up a booth. Go ahead, tell this story.
I would initially. Some of my products are cards, and American Heart has a card that
American Heart Association
has a card, and it's very it's enlarged, but it has too much information on it, and it doesn't have like the window similar to this.
So you think yours is superior? And
mine was far more superior. I did a market analysis. I said which is better. So I made sure I didn't have any patent infringements. Mm-hmm. So I made my product, and then I wanted to see how it would sell. So at a trade show, I strategically paid an extra $2,000 for a booth to be right across from American Heart. And I outsold them, and they even said, we're not even selling ours because your line's too strong.
So you came out with that one, but then you saw a need for more. So what came after that?
The Pocket 12 lead, the RCAT 12 for STEMI, and it shows all the different.
Wait, no, you're talking foreign language here. So what is this exactly?
Well, when somebody comes in a hospital, they hook a monitor up to them, and you have one rhythm. Then if you're having chest pain, they hook up a 12 lead that looks at 12 different views of your heart. Okay. So then that's what this is. Okay. This looks at the 12 different views of your heart. So if you have EKG changes in one of those other leads, that would be missed on just a single lead.
It's a different type of EKG.
Correct.
Therefore needing a different type of measuring and source tool and guide tool.
Correct.
This, of course, is another one of your products. What did you design this one for?
This one I designed for training and teaching, because a lot of colleges, universities, hospitals have these in their break room, staff room, education room, because you can mark all over this. Mm-hmm. You can draw on this black dry erase marker. You can show someone having a heart attack, what happens, and what rhythm is associated with a heart attack.
By the way, in the medical profession, we're all used to the concept of being charged a ridiculous amount for anything that's done to us. And so what does this one sell for?
This one sells for $19.95.
Okay.
And my latest one, the badge, which has all the measuring tools on there, and everybody carries a name badge. Everybody has a name badge on them. So then I designed this one because it can fit, and I can measure all the intervals. It has all the red marks. I can look for for changes associated with a heart attack.
So let's make it clear. One of the developments you came up with was this clear window.
Correct.
With this baseline.
Correct.
So here you're just eyeballing, and you're measuring, but this is a more precise way of measuring, right?
Correct. Here's the window on this one also.
Okay.
But this one, you're always going to carry with you.
Well, tell me how you mentioned to me before how, so you came up with the idea of this thing, but you didn't yet know how to get it into someone's hands. And actually the idea of this was, you said that some cardiac doctors, they don't want to be seen with these, right?
Well, I wouldn't say that. It's not, cardiologists are very knowledgeable and they should know all that.
Uh-huh.
And the problem is, some people may use a piece of paper, some people may not. Some cardiologists are gifted enough where they're comfortable with reading it.
Okay.
You know? And it's somebody, it could be a healthcare professional that may see an EKG and they're not 100% sure if there's changes. Okay. Well, then you can take this right over the top of it.
And why did you want one this small and not just these?
Because these are great for learning and education, and in people that are trained that know all this stuff, like educators, doctors, and critical care nurses, wanted something, just a measuring tool. Instead of using a calipers, I designed this because here you can put this on there and it's cut and dried.
And then so tell how you came up with the idea of the lanyard. You were talking about how you said doctors and medical personnel go to work every day with like a certain number of things. Tell that little anecdote.
I have a card that's a little bit bigger than this, and some people said, well, it's nice, but I don't carry it with me all the time. I keep it in my clipboard and everything. And I thought, how can I get someone to have this product? It's exact, it's precise, it's more accurate than any tool out there. And so I came home and I thought, all right, let's start with 10 things a person has to come to work with. Keys, wallet, clothes, cell phone, just went through the list, stethoscope. And I started checking things off. And the one I forgot was name badge. Everybody has a name badge. Students, medical professionals. And I thought, this will fit right behind your name badge, and it'll fit right on there, and you'll always have it available.
And so you came up with a lanyard.
I came up with a little lanyard, and this will fit right behind a name badge. If I had a name badge, I could show it. It covers it up, and then you have your name badge and right behind it.
And that is entrepreneurial thinking. How did not only the product, but how can I get the product to be used by everybody all the time?
Exactly.
So how do you sell these things now? I know in the beginning you were going to trade shows and things like that, but
I'd opened my own website, but then I got hooked up with a medical company that sells them now, and they
so
sell
you use
them
a
worldwide.
distributor now.
Distributor, yes.
And we should say that you came up with so many of these ideas on your own, but you had help too from. This is the point where you can thank. I know you used a SCORE mentor. You used
Mentor.
Kate Walker.
From Gateway.
She's Gateway's business development director. I believe that's.
Without them, my business wouldn't have been where I'm at today. Because there's so much guidance and so much references they tell you. And help you and bounce things off and recommend and it's ultimately your decision. But the resources that are out there available for people are it's amazing for entrepreneurs.
And you just, this one hasn't even hit the market yet, right? You just
Correct.
basically perfected it?
Correct.
But you have some ordered and...
Correct.
Okay. And by the way, what will this sell for, including the...
$10.
Wow. For the medical profession.
Yeah, for the medical profession...
That's just like nothing.
It's nothing. And like I told you before, I ran this, all my products have to have good, I ran this through the washer and dryer twice, and this is the product right here.
Okay. Well, Gary Krause, good luck with the company, and I know it's just taken off already, and I know it's going to do great. So thanks, and we'll talk to you again.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks a lot for watching Money Talks. Thanks to our producer, Greg Shaver. I'm Michael Burke. Thanks for watching.